This tutorial is for 2nd grade, Module 4, Part 2, Lesson 31. In this lesson, we're going to use tape diagrams to solve word problems. The first problem says Mr. Roberts graded 100 tests in all. If he graded 57 tests on Friday, how many tests did he grade on Saturday? I'm going to start by writing an answer statement with a blank for my final answer. This will help me focus on the goal of the problem. So we'll say on Saturday, he graded blank tests. Now, since I'm not comparing Friday to Saturday, I'm looking at Friday and Saturday as the number of tests in all, I'm going to use one tape. So we know that the total of all the tests is 100. And we know that on Friday, he graded 57. Then I need to find out how many tests he graded on Saturday. I'm going to look at this as a subtraction problem. I know if I take my total minus one part, it will give me the other part. So that would be 100 minus 57. I can use any strategy to solve it. Let's see, I'm going to use same change subtraction. 57 is close to 60, so I'm going to change that to 60, and I did that by adding 3. And that means I need to add 3 to 100. So 103 minus 60 would be 43, because 100 minus 60 would be 40, so 103 minus 60 is 43. And that tells me that on Saturday, he graded 43 tests. The second question says there are 54 women on a boat. There are 17 fewer men than women on the boat. And the first part of the question says how many men were on the boat. The second part says how many people were on the boat. So I'm going to start with my first answer statement saying, let's see, we need to find how many men. So we'll say blank men were on the boat. Now let's fill in the information that we know. This time we have two tapes because we're comparing the men to the women. So when we talk about 17 fewer men, that's a comparison statement. So that's why we have two tapes this time. So let's see, we know there's 54 women, we know there's 17 fewer men, so that means I have more women. So my top tape would be the women, and that's going to be 54. The bottom tape would be the men. Now we don't know how many men, but we do know that the difference between the men and the women will be 17. So I'm going to show that empty space here is going to be 17. So I have to figure out, well, if they both had the same amount, the men's tape and the women's tape would be the same length. This part of the women's tape would be 17. So I need to know, if the whole thing is 54, what would this part of the women's tape be? So to find that out, I would subtract 17 from 54. So 54 minus 17, let's see, I'm going to think back to my standard algorithm here, my vertical placement. So I don't have enough ones, so I'm going to take one of my 10s and decompose it into 10 ones. That gives me 14 ones. 14 minus 7 is 7. 4 minus 1 is 3. So that means this portion of the tape is 37, because 37 plus 17 equals 54. And that also means then that the men's tape is 37. So to answer my first question, there were 37 men on the boat. Now, how many people were on the boat? That's just an addition problem. I have 54 women and 37 men. I'm going to use expanded form addition for this one. So we have 50 and 4 plus 30 and 7. 4 plus 7 is 11. 50 plus 30 is 80 for a total of 91. So 91 people were on the boat. So you can see the difference between using two tapes, again, when we have a comparison statement, as opposed to one tape when we're talking about a full set of items.